Hi, welcome back to our discussion on changing your world. I'm John Patrick Hickey, and we're talking about how Christians can truly be people of influence and make great changes within our culture. And we've talked about how you can make a difference within business, the Christian in the business community. And I also want to talk to you about the arts. Now, Christian in the arts is sometimes been considered a kind of a touchy subject here and there, because there are people who just have this idea that the arts are not a godly type of representation. And that's altogether untrue. Matter of fact, anybody who does any kind of study of the arts, whether that be in music, which we'll talk about in our next video, or in art itself, sculpture, any of the forms of the arts, you'll find that at one time it was totally dominated by Christianity. That this is where most of the inspiration came from in serving this. Now, I know that people think that it's some kind of you're trying to impress God, which wasn't the case. Many times it was a case of trying to honor and represent Him. You look at the great cathedrals that were built with the beautiful stained glass and the statues and the huge edifices that are there. You look at these cathedrals and they're just breathtaking. They're huge. And you think, well, God's not impressed with these. No, God's not impressed. I mean, God made the Grand Canyon. We can't equal that. We can't equal some of the majesty that God created. But they were created because people desired to honor God. People wanted to do something spectacular for God. When you look at it and remember, these things were created by human beings. Someone thought this up. Someone designed it. An architect figured it out, and they built these things. And many of these things they built before they had cranes and all of the technology that we have today. It's funny to me sometimes when you look at some of these structures that were done in the 10th, 11th, 12th century, and they're huge and they're massive and they're just magnificent things. And we look back and we think of these people as being primitive, and it's like we can't do that. If we build something now, we build it with machines. We make it easy. We have all of this other stuff that we've added to it. And yeah, that's nice and it's good and that's part of progress, but to think of the work that was involved in creating these things, because the desire was to honor God. Now, Christians should, once again, dominate the arts. I don't care if it's acting, I don't care if it's painting, if it's sculpture, any type of expression of the arts, that as a believer, we can take these and use them to glorify God, to honor Him, to bring attention to Him. There are great works within literature that are, honoring to God. Now, they don't have to be specifically spiritual things in order to do that. I've read some wonderful poetry that have been, beautiful pieces of art. I happen to really enjoy poetry, and they're beautiful pieces of art that have been written by Christians, and they never talk about directly dealing with spiritual things. They look at the world around as they see it and how it affects them. They talk about matters of the heart. There are many ways that we can express ourselves. The thing is that as a believer, I don't want you to get caught up in this idea that as a Christian you should not express yourself through the arts, that the arts are somehow worldly. They are not. The enemy does not own those things. We own those things. You see, once again, the arts are an area that we have surrendered. We have not lost. We surrendered. We gave it over. And now we're told, well, you can't touch that. You can't have that. You have to take that away, and no one's going to be interested in what you have to say. That's not true. I mean, look at even in films. You know, some of the greatest films lately have been what we considered family entertainment, things that have been more wholesome, less violent, without all the sex and swearing and all the things that go on inside of so many films today, because people are tired of all of that, and they want something that is more refreshing. And it is just so important that as believers we learn to express ourselves. Many of you, I know, you have that desire. You are the poet, you are the writer, you're the actor, you're the painter, you're the sculptor. Go for it. Go express that art. Don't hide it. Don't compromise it. Don't restrain it. Get out there, develop it. Express yourself. Express what it is that you're feeling. Make that composition something that is going to truly express the inner things of God, and let God use it, because that is of great power. Again, the only time that we lose that ground is when we give it up. If we decide that we're going to take it, you can take it, because remember, when God is behind us, nothing can stand against us. And while we're talking about the whole expression in the arts, music is a very important part, and it's really, I've kind of kept it separate from this because it really has some things that we need to look at specifically, because I believe there's some definite confusion when it comes to music and our faith, and we're going to talk about that in the next video. For the Growth Center, this is John Patrick Hickey, and I do want to encourage you to always live your purpose and change your world.